Permit me to stand on the system protocol. Now, as Nigerians, if we have been doing a particular thing in a particular way, we are always trying to do it that way, as if there is no other way. So I'm not going to use mine because I don't like the way it sounds. And as my right, I can decide not to even use the mic. So I don't know why people are using mic.
No, that is for technology.
Okay, sorry for that. So I'm not going to use it. Now, we are talking about inequalities. We are talking about human rights. We are talking about labor strike. We are talking about student unrest. And we are talking about police brutality. Everything has its foundation. And when you trace that foundation, you go back the memory lane. If we are saying inequality, what are we talking about? They have given somebody 50 million for everybody in this hall. And it will make a lot of sense to just do a roll call, numbering it, then breaking it down, and delivering everybody's money according to that person's use. But what you get in most situations is we have to go and be begging that person to release 5,000 for the chairman of civil service organization. We have to beg for money to be released, money that is meant ordinarily for everybody. So when we talk about inequalities, what we are talking about is a situations whereby resources, what ought to be asked naturally, is now displaced or given to people that do not merit it. And so immediately there is inequality. Maybe there is no water in a particular place and they start fending for themselves and want to get water. Maybe there is something somewhere. Immediately you have that. It could even be positions. Then you have what you can call an inequality, and it's going to affect. Immediately you have inequality, it more or less attack what you can call fundamental human rights that is given to you even at birth. Your God-given rights that nobody should give you. Those are your rights. So immediately there's inequality, it affects what you can call your human God-given right, which is universal, is unalienable, irrespective of whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whether you are female, whether you are female, or wherever you belong to. It is given to you freely. And so when you talk about Nigerians now, there is that inequality. And once there is inequality, civil organizations like this will embark on what you can call strike. Strike is done all over the world. It is to ginger the government or somebody that's supposed to do something to do what he or she ought to do. But in Nigeria, it's another ball game entirely. And when we talk about student unrest too, which could be internal or external. If it's internal, maybe they are talking about their school fees, maybe they are agitated about something in that school. If it's external, maybe the NSAS, maybe the fuel hike, or something that is having a retroactive impact on them, and so it can come. But majorly, I know that civil organizations are civil in nature, they comport themselves as such, but the last one, which is police brutality. Somebody is doing something that is wrong, and you are complaining, and you are being assaulted, you are battered, you are imprisoned, you are beaten because of the fact that you are saying the obvious. And so one is a means to an end. The whole thing, when you trace it, it leads to each other. And so what we are saying is, even as lawyers, in as much as I don't want to go into that case, the case of Babafe and Famuroti that is going on, we are watching patiently because we believe that wherever there is a right, there must be a remedy. This man has said something. Let us go down what actually transpired. Give him audience. Give him a situation to say his own side. And so the civil liberty organization, they've been trying. But as you are trying, the whole lot are wanting to shut you out. That your own is too much. What is his own? What is his interest? Why is he saying what he's saying? It is your right to say whatever you want to say within the confines or the confines of law. Once you are not talking, Wole Soyinka said, and I quote, that the man dies in him that keeps silent in place of tyranny. Economic situations is there. There are so many things. So everybody is facing one or two things. But if you are not talking, even if it's husband and wife, you come home in the evening, your food is not ready, and you are not talking. Silence will make consent at times. It could be that, okay, you have accepted your fate and you don't want to say anything. And so there will be forever till tomorrow, civil organization that will be talking. In the situations whereby nobody is talking in the system, are you telling me that everything is okay? Is that what we are saying? So there must be voice per time that will be talking on the inequalities in the society, on trampling on enforcement of fundamental rights, which is enshrined. My Oga was saying it the other time, you have it in chapter 2. They are just there in the rhetorics. When you go abroad, you can say that you want to go to school, and of course, they will send you to school. After sending somebody to school in America, they will even extend scholarship to Nigerians to other African countries. Is it the same there? How many people are we giving scholarship from Nigeria? How many? So, we must look inward. And some of the recommendations I could not read here is that when you trace the entire thing down, when there is police brutality, then that particular police officer should be held accountable. And police has been doing it. And that's the reason why this phone, you cannot collect it from me, except you have a court order to do so. Those are the things that we need to know. Why should somebody take your phone and be going through it? Why should I offend this, my chairman, and he brings soldiers to my house? The first thing I'm going to tell you is, soldiers do not have right to step into my compound. And I'm telling you now, because that uniform, I will collect it. And so, I'm owing you money. The next thing you want to do is to go and bring soldiers to my house. Even if you bring police, are police saddled? Do they have power to collect debt? These are some of the things. And so, anytime anything is happening around us, when we talk, things change. Don't let us maintain that decorum as if everything is okay. And of course, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I don't want to embarrass anybody. In as much as whatever you are doing is within the confines of the law, let us do it. And so, the idea of the lecture I have today was supposed to be for almost 45 1 hour, but I've been limited to 10 minutes. And of course, apart from holding a policeman accountable, another thing is we've recommended that they be given further education. How come Nigerian police, how come they fear well when they go outside Nigeria? Because there are rules and regulations there. And when they come back, the policeman wants your particulars. The next thing is that they start slapping you. The next thing is that you are saying some compromising things to them. There are ways and manners of doing things. I'm not unmindful of the fact that it's only a madman that argues with a man holding a gun. So if I see a policeman now, there are a way, a medium of conveying your grievances, your questions to them, that they will answer you. So, I'm going to drop my paper for the civil society, but when we are talking about inequalities in our society, we are the primary cause. We are the primary cause of those inequalities. If you are talking about the governor of the state now, if you are talking about Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu, yes, you are talking about those two people. What if you get into those positions? What are you going to do? That is my fear. Because people can talk about politicians, they can talk on the hand. But when they get into that position, they will perform worse. And so it has always been that problem in the society that it is when we are agitating for something that we maintain decorum. Immediately we get to that position, it will be worse. And so there must be a room to help to hold us accountable wherever we find ourselves, to know that we have to account, whether it's money, whether it's stewardship. Accountability is key. And the issue of corruption in the society must be a thing of the past. For more on what I've been saying, I will drop the soft copy and the hard copy with the chairman in order not to take too much of time. Now, gentlemen and ladies, I decided not to use mic because I'm a very different person. That mic has been affecting my eardrum. And of course, I'm using my voice now. So as Nigerians, let us do things differently in order to get a different result. If we continue doing what we have been doing the way we have been doing it, it's going to be garbage in, garbage out. Thank you.
I want to call the part of the NBA chairman by doing things differently. So I'm not going to use microphone. Let me firstly tender an unreserved apology for coming in late. If you see what I am putting on, today happens to fall within the 16 days activism against gender-based violence that we have started about 15 days ago, and it will be ending tomorrow. So we had a walk this morning, and we were supported by security agencies, different women groups. That is why I'm coming in late. And again, I have to go to OG Step to go and join the World Bank team that came to the States in the course of trying to empower the women of Ogun State. So I am very sorry that I'm going to make this very short. Permit me to adopt the established protocol, because I don't know how good the legs of the protocol is. If I should stand on it, I don't want to fall. So let me just adopt the established protocol. It is a privilege to stand before you today on such a significant occasion, not just as a political office holder, but as one of you with the undying Aluta spirit. For those who know me, they know I am always there when it comes to Aluta, when it comes to civil organizations, when it comes to speaking up for the less privileged. Probably that is why the governor had to move me from the Ministry of Culture and Tourism and move me to the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development. The International Human Rights Celebration serves as a powerful reminder of the principles that unite us as human beings: justice, fairness, and equality. As Nigerians, we are not strangers to challenge that test these principles daily. On a daily basis, we see these challenges. But we gather here with the hope and determination to affirm our commitment to creating a society where everyone's rights are respected and protected. It is our right. It is not a privilege. It is our right. This year's theme, equality, reducing inequality and advancing human rights, could not have come at a better time. In a nation as dynamic as Nigeria, inequality persists as a hurdle that stifles progress and potential. From gender gaps to economic disparities, these inequalities manifest in ways that deeply affect the social and economic fabric of the community. The sub-theme, labor strikes, student unrest, and police brutality capture some of the most pressing issues in our society today, each underscoring the urgent need for systemic change. Labor strikes, for instance, reminds us of the widening gap between those who work tirelessly to build this nation and the systems that often fail to reward their efforts fairly. Mind that word, fairly. Students' unrest points to deep-rooted challenges in our educational system, where inadequate resources and unfulfilled promises fuel discontent. Police brutality, of course, we all know. Some of us might have been at the receiving end at one time or the other. It is a painful reminder that those who want to protect sometimes wield power in ways that harm the very people they are meant to serve. They are not just statistics of pains and agonies. Outside there, they are touching and pathetic stories of neighbors, friends, and fellow Nigerians. As Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, I am particularly in agreement to how these challenges proportionately affect the most vulnerable among us, especially women, children, and the vulnerable group, most especially the persons living with disability. When labor strikes occur, it is the woman that often bears the burden of sustaining families in sympathy to the breadwinner of the family. During student unrest, female students face heightened risk of harassment and disruption to their education. And in the face of police brutality, of course, it is often the marginalized who pay the highest price. Addressing these challenges is not just a necessity, it is a moral obligation. In Ogun State, we are making deliberate efforts to bridge this gap with the commitment and support of our team captain, the state governor, His Excellency Peace Abiodun CON. Through empowerment programs, we are equipping women with the tools to achieve economic independence. We are investing in our initiatives to provide alternatives to unrest, ensuring that our students have access to the quality education that they deserve. The success stories of Nigeria for Women project and the Okowo project and all over the 3 senatorial districts. Additionally, the present administration keeps promoting dialogue between communities and the law enforcement agencies, aiming to rebuild trust and ensure that policing is rooted in respect for human rights. These are steps forward, but we recognize that the journey is far from being over. However, no government anywhere can do it alone. Real change happens only when we come together like this, as individuals, as communities, and as institutions, civil society, religious organizations, traditional leaders, and indeed, every Nigerian has a collective and individual role to play in reducing inequality. It is not just the duty of the government, it is our collective responsibility. Let us amplify the voices of the oppressed. Hold our systems accountable, the NBA chairman mentioned it, and challenge the status quo wherever it fails to uphold justice and equity. We have to speak up. We cannot continue to die in silence. There is a need for us to speak up when it is necessary. However, as we gather here today, let us commit ourselves to reimagining a Nigeria of our dream, where labor strikes are replaced with fair and just negotiations, where students are empowered to express their concerns constructively, mind that word, constructively without fear, and where police brutality is not tolerated but eradicated. Let us see this gathering not as an end but as a beginning to a collective resolve to make Nigeria a place where equality is not an ideal but a reality. In closing, let me leave you with this thought. A nation is only as strong as its commitment to justice and fairness to all. Reducing inequality and advancing human rights is not just a dream, it is our shared duty. As we walk away from here, let us carry with us the courage to speak, the wisdom to act, and the compassion to build a better and fairer Nigeria. Together, we can and we must create a legacy of equality for generations to come. I thank you all sincerely. Alita continua victorious.
Because of the love we have
for CSO, what they do. I have to leave our press week as the media. We have started our press week today. I even just sneak out. And one of the reasons I wanted to leave, I would have loved to end the program together. I was instructed to look at this issue from the media perspective. That I'm going to roll out statistics. The unyielding quest for justice and freedom. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted 76 years ago, remains our moral compass. Yet, the promise of justice and liberty is often overshadowed by grim realities. Are we to draw our attention to the escalating violation of human rights across the globe, including here in Nigeria? The global violation now. Globally, over 60 journalists were killed in 2023 alone. According to UNESCO, while 600 others are unlawfully detained, media professionals continue to face threats, imprisonment, and intimidation in their quest to uncover truth society desperately needs. Human rights defenders and activists are no less vulnerable. In 2023, over 200 human rights defenders were murdered nationwide, worldwide, with thousands more silenced by oppressive regimes through imprisonment or forced exile. The Nigerian human rights crisis. Let's come home. The number one issue we are facing, whether as a defender of human rights or as journalist, is extrajudicial killing. In 2023, report from Amnesty International indicates that 1,500 Nigerians lost their lives to unlawful killings by state and non-state actors on police brutality. Despite the EndSARS protest of 2020, abuses by law enforcement persist. Over 600 cases of police brutality were reported only in 2023, including torture, extortion, and lawful detention. Attack on journalists. Between 2022 and 2023, 45 journalists in Nigeria faced harassment, arrest, or violence while discharging their duties. Some were detained without trial, while others were attacked by both state and non-state actors. Suppression of protest. Peaceful protests continue to face violent crackdown. In just the first half of 2024, 15 protests were disrupted, with excessive force leading to injuries, arrests, and even death. Now, why this matter? Human rights violations are not just statistics. They represent broken lives, shattered family, and community plunged into despair. When journalists are silenced, the truth becomes a casualty. When activists are suppressed, society loses its conscience. Now, the role of civil society and democracy activists. The Organization chapter of civil society organization and pro-democracy activists has a crucial role in this fight. One, we must advocate for accountability. We must hold perpetrators of human rights abuses accountable through legal and social channels. Number two, support victims. We must create a platform for survivors to tell their stories and seek justice. Number three, promotion of awareness. Educate the public on their rights, like the NBA chairman just did a while ago. Educate the public on their rights and empower them to demand better governance. Collaboration. Work with local, national, and international bodies to amplify the voices of oppressed. Now a call to action. The experience in Ogun State has shown that if truly you want to defend human rights violation and you want to be a whistleblower, you have a lot of factors to contend with. You will definitely lose a lot of friends, but definitely a lot of people will get freedom from you. As journalists, we also do a form of activism. When we do our stories, when we see something that is not good, we report it. As CSO, and I've challenged the chairman before you go, I've said this behind you, even on radio, that as far as Ogun State is concerned, CSO is dead. But with this program, you are telling us that you are now revamping. Because I started my journalism in 2005. One of the ways we got our content was from see CSO. Whenever maybe governor present a budget or whatever, the CSO that will give us the critique of that budget. We have not listened to anybody that talk about the budget, whether there are holes there or it is good. So CSO must see themselves as voice of the masses, and then they must be ready to defend the human rights. So that is what I just brought to you because of the time, from the perspective of journalism. Thank you. And
jàǹfààní oṣù December tọdún tuntun 2025 ní Snad Estate Shimawa agbègbè táyé ń sọ.
Snad homes and properties, real estate tó fà bọ́yọ̀.
lóṣù December tọdún tuntun 2025 yìí ralẹ̀ sí Snad Estate Shimawa kí o sì gba 500 blocks ìkọ́lé 10 bags of cement 5 tons of granite. ohun tó dára jùlọ fọlọ́gbọ́n ènìyàn ní láti ralẹ̀ tí yóò ṣàǹfààní tí yóò sì tún rọ̀ ọ́ lọ́rùn láti ní lára àwọn ohun èlò ìkọ́lé. èyí ti lọ dùn jù. ènìyàn márùn-ún tó bá kọ́kọ́ sanwó ni yóò lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ sí àǹfààní yóò. Snad homes and properties dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn tó ti ń ralẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ wọn kó lè jàǹfààní ńlá bàǹtàbàǹtà yìí. ralẹ̀ sí Snad Estate Shimawa sanwó lẹ́ẹ̀kan lásìkò December tọdún tuntun 2025 yìí pẹ̀lú 3.5 million naira plọ́ọ̀tì kan. fún àlàyé sí ẹ pè 08104441104 tàbí 0912985960. lọ́dún yìí àǹfààní ńlá rèé o má jẹ́ kó fò ọ́ ru.
Orúkọ mi ni Lékan Ọláwuyì tí gbogbo èèyàn mọ̀ sí Wákìlì. Òpàjẹ́ òní báyìí tí ò ní bàjẹ́ o. Tí ẹ bá fẹ́ mọ̀ nípa àṣà ìṣe, ẹ lọ subscribe sí Bembeyeke TV ìyẹn lórí YouTube. Àbí kẹ́ lọ sí TikTok, kẹ́ lọ follow Bembeyeke comedy. Ẹ wò, ẹ̀yin mi láwo ń gbé bá subscribe síbẹ̀. Ẹ káre, hehehehe.